I remember when exercise was my everything. When days would consist of a routine of waking up, driving the gray-painted roads to school and back, tedious homework, workout, sleep, repeat. No social life, no deeply needed conversations with my family, and endless worries about my weight and how each thing I ate affected my body. In the span of 1 year, body image had become my God, my everything. I worshiped the image of myself, you might say, and I believed the whisper of society telling me I had to look a certain way to be loved, satisfied, and accepted. But I never was. As you hear my story, you might ask, how could someone live like this? How are you even alive after the way that you worked, deprived, and treated yourself? And honestly, there is no other explanation or answer besides the grace of God. And because I remember my mother, that warm spring day as the sun was beginning to go back into its hiding place, which left our kitchen illuminated by an orange glow and a hue that came beaming from behind my mother. I remember her voice, so soft and sharp, full of concern and worry, with tears sliding down her sun-kissed cheeks onto her lips. I remember how she said, "You're getting way too skinny." I held my breath, and my thoughts immediately jumped to, how could you think that I am? But I knew that she was right, because I remember worrying about not being able to work out, and if I wasn't, how fat I felt when I looked in the mirror. I remember how very little made me happy in the long periods of times I would spend scrolling just to find new tricks to lose a few extra. I remember how frail my fingernails became and the amounts of hair that I would lose in the shower. I remember the nights I sat alone in bed wondering if I was even going to be alive the next morning. And with just one sentence, the whole world that I knew, that I was living in, came crashing down, and everything that I thought was truth became a lie. It became false. How I'd not seen, how I'd chiseled away at myself, how I'd cut up my relationships with my family and my friends just to make myself look more beautiful, and how I grieved God for so long with the destruction of His temple that He so beautifully and wonderfully created. I remember how things needed to change. My routine, my lifestyle, my metabolism, my weight, my thoughts, my relationships, what I read, watched, listened to, and ate. Everything needed to be remodeled. I needed to surrender every second, every thought, and every action back to God, where they originally belonged. I remember all of the sleepless nights, all the therapy sessions, all the tears, pain, mental challenges, fatigue. I remember the spiritual battle that God fought for me and with me, and the armor that He completely clothed me in. And I remember when I finally felt real peace after 2 long years, when I stopped striving towards a false God and found a home in the real one and only. I remember how I still struggle with this some days, how the temptation of image and perfection will be continually shoved in my face, how judgment of myself and others will be the sin that I continually fall back into. But grace, God's grace, is what I will choose because it is something that I will never lose. And it's not based on works or how I look, but grace, God's grace works best in my weaknesses. So I will gladly boast all the more about how I am in pieces and how our eyes should be focused more on Jesus. And as He increases, I must decrease. In all, this is not about me. But I believe that my story, this story, can reach others for greater glory so that they can hear the truth of the gospel and who God really is. So here it is. And I leave the rest up to God.